Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen. Our fifth and final game is moments away. We are now 2-2. PPK and Atlantis. Well, PPK won the first two. Atlantis won the second two. It all comes down to this. We've seen one strategy from PPK. We've seen a varied sense from Atlantis. Atlantis have now found what works. Their first few didn't. PPK, we need to see something new from them. They've tried the same thing 4 times in a row. Twice it worked, but Atlantis now have shut that right down. We need something else. What could they have up their sleeve?
For sure, Atlantis have been showing up that they can draft a winning matchup for Aesthetic, and then with lanes with pressure, they can support him and make his early game presence known. So we really need to see PPK adapt to this. We need to see them pick either strong lanes. If they're going to run a tank jungler into a carry jungler, they need strong lanes to be able to support him, or they need to pick a carry jungler for Kronos and just throw the gauntlet to Aesthetic and say that I'm the better jungler in the 1v1.
Do you think he can be that better jungler? From what you've seen in these 4 games, does he have the mechanical skill to be that player?
No, I don't think he has.
That's cold. That's cold. But yeah, I agree with you.
That's the analyst's job. You got to be here. I mean, I put him on the spot. But still.
Yeah, I mean, you baited that one out of him.
What do you think, Frank?
Kronos sitting there over there like a little sad. No, but I do agree with you. Like Kronos, I believe he is a better farming jungler, and he should stick to what he's good at. I mean, trying now to be the carry instead does not work out for them, I believe. Instead, again, it's Finn be the carry, but for God's sake, stop first picking Camille. It's not working. You just gotta accept that. From game 3, it was kind of not working. For game 4, it was definitely not working. So if we see that again in game 5, now the first install of Camille, that is GG. Right, I'm just gonna call it right there. They cannot go with that strategy again.
That's too harsh. It's not GG.
It's not too harsh. It's not too harsh. The Camille has simply not worked out. Of course, they can pick Camille. They can still leave it open as well from Team Atlantis. But the thing is the insta-lock with the Camille that allows Team Atlantis to just completely counter it out, not just with one champion, but with their entire team composition, knowing exactly what she's able to, what she's not able to do, and also putting all of the pressure onto Kronos instead. Since, of course, for the top lane where Finn is put versus the Poppy in a disadvantageous matchup, it just leaves too much open for Kronos to handle.
All right. A lot to take in on that and a lot to listen to, but very good point. It also comes down to, do you leave it open? Do you leave it for the second phase of picks, perhaps when, as you said, you can counter-pick it and you've got what's on the table, you know what you're playing it into. We saw Janna for the first time that last game. It was banned out twice previously. Wasn't very impactful, but was that largely because of how everyone else was losing? Do you think we'll see her again, or was she non-consequential?
I think that PPK would want to pick a Janna if there's a situation for it. She's a support that scales very well into the later stages. It can provide a lot, and in this game, it was over before either Janna or the Ezreal could reach that point. So the Janna is when S lane really wants to scale up, and they were simply not able to do so. So if they can get another situation where they can scale up and go to the late game, I think that they're fine with picking the Janna, and it's a confident champion for KRP.
It's going to be tough because obviously they're on second pick now, but you wanted to see it last time, a first pick Caitlyn. It would have meant that the Camille wasn't first picked, which would have been nice. Do you think they can do it this time? Leave the Camille open, first pick the Caitlyn, or do you think Atlantis will just take her straight away, first pick? Actually, that's a good point. I don't know who has got first pick, because at this point we're not switching back and forth.
Yeah.
We don't really know that right
Just realised that Atlantis do have first pick, according to the voice in my ear. So they can take that away straight away. Do you think they're going to do that? They've had great success with Rafael on that for the entire series so far, and it's one of those picks that they can take and not reveal any other point of their strategy and be a very comfortable bottom lane.
I don't think that Atlantis necessarily has to first pick the Caitlyn, because I'm not sure if PPK would take that away. It doesn't seem like a Cookie champion at all. For Cookie's sake, I would love to see him throw a bit of a curveball here, go for something like a Varus or a Tristana, something that can go toe-to-toe with the Caitlyn early on and not the Ezreal that just concedes the early laning phase.
Cookie has been playing Sivir as well, so that is also something that's inside of his tool, although we don't know if he's going to pick it up. Swain now has been the first ban for PPK, followed up a Team Atlantis. The other ban was this Galio and Kai'Sa. Cassiopeia ban again, so Jet again for game 5. Not something new on the horizon when it comes to the bans at least.
Yes, same old here for both of these teams, and there is going to be the Rise to finish off the bans, which I think is a good choice. Targeting Krogson was not looking as strong on the Azir. That does mean that Anivia, who was banned out all 3 games, is still left open, but the something like the Caitlyn would be a lot of a stronger first pick here, in my opinion.
Yeah, Caitlyn first pick again for Team Atlantis has been working well for Rafael. He has been consistently just being that ADC that handles the lane and handles the rest of the fights as well. Something again we see as in a lot, is Cookie on his Ezreal. That has kind of been faltering, falling further and further behind as the bottom lane of Team Atlantis simply has adapted to the playstyle of Cookie and KRP. And of course, the Olaf for the jungle.
So PPK right now are most likely going to have a losing bottom lane matchup, and there's the Braum locking as a denial from KRP, further signaling in that the draft going in that direction. With Olaf getting picked up, though, they have a lot stronger of a dueling jungler than last time around. I like this from PPK. Let's see if Atlantis wants to go for something like an Azir right here to secure that safe mid laner that Krogson's been doing so well on. But no, Aesthetic's gonna go for the Kha'Zix, Sang.
Kha'Zix again for Aesthetic versus the Olaf. That was something that started the downfall for PPK when Aesthetic was allowed to play on this very hyper carry jungler, even when he started to snowball. Anivia was left open, we talked about it earlier. In terms of you just hovering it a little bit, showing like I can play Anivia too. It's not only you who can play it, but in the end, instead, it's going to be the Janna for KRP again.
So we're looking for solo laners for both of these teams. PPK with the last pick, I'm suspecting them wanting to save the last pick for top lane to get a counter pick there. Would love to see PPK go for a safe mid lane or something like a Talia, or maybe even an Orianna, as we saw last time, as their next pick, and then get a beneficial matchup for Finn. I would love to see Finn's Kled come out. He is a famous Kled player, of course, formerly known as Blomster Finn. His Kled has been wreaking havoc in the high elo solo queue of EU West, as well as in tournaments that we've been seeing him playing. So I would love to see something like a Kled Talia as the last two picks here for PPK, but Team Atlantis has two bans that they can throw in that direction, and there is the Talia.
Talia banned, so Eternity not going to be able to play that. Kled still open though, as you mentioned. Finn not really working out with the Camille. Finally, no Camille first pick. I'm happy with that, but Kled, like you mentioned, still very much open. And also PPK, they have the last pick this time around, so they have the ability to actually go for a complete counter towards the top lane versus Svenny, where Svenny was dominating last game.
Let's see if the Azir is going to be the ban here for PPK. It's going to be the Orianna instead, so Krogson will have the ability to go for the Azir should he choose to. An interesting sort of a cheesy champion that you can play into the Azir is the Veigar. It's something that Eternity has been playing in solo queue, and I have to pat myself on the back for the prediction there with the Talia Kled coming out as the last two bans for Atlantis. But speaking again of potential Azir counters, Veigar is one of them. It's a champion that I love to see, great zoning, great burst potential, and a good Azir counter, sorry.
Yeah, so that is the question right now as PPK. I would predict that they would hold on to their top lane and try to get that for the counter pick. Going again with the Corki, and I think Trinity has been like okay on Corki, but not quite performing. Has slowly been better throughout these two games we've seen him on the champion so far. So this, my third one, might be the Charm. And again, Ornn was banned last game. Not this time around though, so Ornn might be the go-to pick for Svenny up top lane to just stay safe, whatever Finn dashes out.
I am not a fan of the blind pick Corki. Sure, it's somewhat of a safe champion. You won't really be able to be shut down early on in the lane, but if Krogson used to go for a standard pick like the Azir here, he will have push priority early on into the Corki. And push priority in the mid lane, probably push priority in the top lane, depending on what the pick's going to be for PPK. That's going to mean that Aesthetic will have a field day in the enemy jungle. He'll be able to go wherever he wants. And sure, Kronos is on a stronger dueling jungler right now in the Olaf compared to the Zac that he was playing last time around. But still, we need a strong laning presence, top laner right now, to go toe-to-toe with this Ornn, who has so good pushing potential. Because if Svenny can push out Blomster Finn, that is going to be Aesthetic all over the enemy jungle on the Kha'Zix.
So this is something we have seen PPK play for in the first game of the series. It's the Renekton again, this time into an Ornn. For the first game, it was into a... what's the Scion? No, actually, I completely forgot. Help me out here.
Was it an Ornn?
Was it an Ornn in game one as well? Yes, I think...
first game was...
I think it was.
An Ornn, yes.
Yes, it was an Ornn in game one. So it's a return matchup between Svenny and Finn. That's something really looking forward to seeing, especially since Svenny really has been stepping up in these previous two games.
Can't help but feel PPK have stuck to the same kind of composition, though. That hasn't worked from the last two matches. Do is that composition versatile enough that they can change their play using those same champions to overcome the downfalls they've had in the last 2 games? Or was it going to come down to the draft to keep them alive here?
I have to agree with you. I'm not a big fan of the draft here either. They do have a bottom lane that will get pushed in early, but won't have the ability to help the jungler as fast as the opposing. Bottom lane, same way for the mid lane. Corki will get pushed in by the Syndra early on, which means Aesthetic will have at least a lot of pressure on towards the bottom side. The saving grace for PPK is that Olaf is a much stronger duelist than the Zac was, so we'll be able to go toe-to-toe with the Cossacks early on in the jungle. But I just think Aesthetic is a better duelist than Kronos.
We had Kha'Zix Olaf in the first game Atlantis won. Yes, he's better than Zac, but he still lost hard in the early game thanks to the fact that the Ryze could push it in mid and go. Okay, Ryze is gone now, but as you just said, Syndra can also push very hard and is going to get there before the Corki. So I'm not feeling good for PPK right now.
None of us are, I believe. Like, PPK came in so strong in this series, took the first 2 games quite convincingly, and we were like, okay, you know what, it's all in the bag. PPK won this. But then Team Atlantis comes up with this huge adaptation to whatever PPK is doing. I feel like PPK have, like you mentioned, this one strategy. And whatever they pick, now of course they're new kind of champions, or rather they haven't played them as much as the previous ones, but it's still the same style of composition, the same style that has not been working for the past 2 games. So I feel like if they don't have like a second or third gear to put in right here that we haven't seen yet, I feel it's going to be Atlantis, definitely.
All right, well, there it is. Game number 5, PPK versus Atlantis. It all comes down to this. Game 5 is underway. Good luck to both teams, and we will have our champion momentarily.
Momentarily, but not yet, as we are now in the early stages of the game, as all of the players are just moving out on the map for the final time today to make sure that there are no crazy invades going on. So now, for the 5th and final time, have a look at Team Atlantis on the blue side and PPK on the red side. It's tied 2 for 2 in the Nordic Championship. These are the best players in League of Legends we have in the Nordic region. All of them are from Sweden, or rather not all of them are from Sweden, but both of the teams are have the majority of Swedes. So whatever happens, Henning is going to be happy.
Whatever happens, I'm going to be happy. There are 3 Swedish players on each team, except for that. I was about to start counting the other nationalities, and then I realized I'm not quite sure. I do believe we have Greece, Denmark, Italy, and I want to say Norway for Kronos. I think
I'm fairly sure Kronos is Norwegian.
So I think there's 8 Nordic players here, which is, of course, great to see in the Nordic Championships. And Kronos and Finn with a bit of a cheeky early invade right now on towards Aesthetic. This could prove to be quite a big decision if Aesthetic does not realize what is going on.
This could be a very smart decision, because we're talking about how PPK needs to adapt and make something happen. They didn't quite do any adaptation in the pick and ban. So now, at least for the early stage of the game, going with a cheeky invade might be exactly what the doctor ordered.
We did talk about a lot of good things about Atlantis' team comp and a lot of bad things about PPK. We have to say that the saving grace for PPK is going to be the scaling later on. They have both Corki and Ezreal, long-range, high-damage carries, with the protection of a Janna, who also scales very well, can get an Ardent, which means that as soon as he uses the ultimate, she will give the Ardent bonus to anyone that is around, which is going to be the Corki and the Ezreal, hopefully. So 2 big damage dealers there with a lot of good protection. Everyone but the Renekton scales really well for the team of PPK. So if this game goes late, I'm going to say that PPK is favored. But from what we've been seeing from Aesthetic's Kha'Zix, he is not going to let this game go late.
Yeah, Aesthetic is really, or rather, Atlantis has very strong early game. So they're really good at getting control and really just keeping the match the way they want it until they go all the way to the Nexus and get the victory. But this is, again, like, I'm really enjoying to see Kronos playing around this smart move. He does not want to have the 1 versus 1 in the early stages. He accepts that he is not the stronger player between these 2, but as a team, they can move around Aesthetic. As another Aesthetic is just moving in the map, around the map, top side, not finding anything. He's going to go mid lane, though. Speaking about not finding anything, jumping over the wall and flashing to pick up first blood on Eternity, who did not expect the gank to come from that direction.
Wow, I was just gonna say that Aesthetic is looking really not so sharp early on with getting his own jungle stolen away, going towards the top side of the enemy jungle, not finding anything to steal away there either. And then he just flashes on Eternity, gets the kill and burns the flash of Eternity, who by the way does not have a TP to get back to the lane, went for the cleanse instead. So good set of plays for Aesthetic. He really shows that even though Kronos had the stronger early game, Aesthetic still gonna be able to answer. Level 3 versus level 5 though, so in the individual 1v1 jungle matchup, he is behind.
Well, it was a prank. It was just a prank. Aesthetic was like, you know, oh, I'm not finding anything to jungle here. Oh, it's bad. Oh, just joking. Getting first blood mid lane, no problem. Speaking of first blood, well, that's not first blood, but it's risky up top lane. About to give another kill on either side, as both of these top laners were getting very low.
Absolutely, that Conqueror Keystone coming in pretty big for Finn there. It's the big reason that Renekton has been coming back into the metagame right now as he's somewhat of a strong top lane champion. With Kronos coming in towards the top side as well, has finished his boots, but runs over a zombie ward without clearing it out. That is pretty bad for PPK. Atlantis will know where Kronos is chilling on which part of the map he is.
Well, he's still going for it. Looking for Svenny, hoping that he had taken refuge in one of the bushes up here. So he's still going to be able to secure the Gromp. Still going for the counter jungle, which Kronos is very good at. Something we haven't really seen in these earlier games, as Kronos has been both either snowballing or falling quite far behind. But Kronos is the kind of jungler who wants to go for the counter jungle, who wants to avoid his opponent, just farm up, get this huge level XP advantage, and then off of that, just complete the snowball on the map. And right now, you can see Kronos, he's level 6 versus level 4 for Aesthetic. So it's actually working out really well for him.
Yeah, even though Aesthetic was able to get that early kill in towards the mid lane, that is more boosting his mid laner than himself because he's falling behind versus Kronos. He has decided that top lane is going to be the lane of focus right now. Svenny with level 5, this could be Kronos coming in with a Predator boots if he chooses to. Wants to wait out the cooldown from Svenny though.
Yeah, they get the stun, gonna force the flash. Svenny is very low on mana, so he will not be able to, will have to fall back again. Just not a good position to be in, as his ward already used the teleport earlier. So much focus from Kronos. Are they actually going to go for the tower dive? Dominus is available for Finn. Dominus use going in with the tower dive. This is huge. Finn tanking it up so well. Has to flash though to get out. Barely survives it, but Kronos picks up the kill.
Very well played there in the dive for Finn and Kronos, getting the kill on towards Svenny, and this is a poor Ornn getting shut down early on. This is starting to look like game 1 again, Sang, where PPK, you remember, they were able to win that off Kronos and Finn working so well on towards the top side. And look at with this Olaf going so low towards the minions. With his passive, he's going to get so much extra attack speed that they're getting First Blood Tower at 6 minutes and 40 seconds. What a different start to the game compared to what I was expecting.
Yeah, that is something that Atlantis usually does. Gets the first Tower Blood, gets the first objectives instead. It's the red buff that a sad Kha'Zix is going to pick up in his own jungle before recalling. Still on level 5 versus Kronos level 7 now. So Kronos definitely found a strategy that worked. Rather, PPK now has found a strategy that works and are playing around it.
Absolutely the case. Let's see what the next objective for PPK is going to be. With the top lane tower getting taken down, Svenny can freeze the lane close to his tier 2 tower should he want to, which would force Finn to go on towards the map to make plays in other lanes because there's nothing for him to get in the top lane. Let's see if that's going to be the choice for Svenny, or if he wants to push this out with the help of Aesthetic, because if Svenny pushes out the top lane without sufficient ward coverage, without sufficient help for his team, he's going to be so easy to shut down for the combination of Finn and Kronos. And look at this, level 7, he's the same level as the mid laners.
Yeah, Kronos in a fantastic spot. This is his playground. This is exactly how he likes to play. And both of these teams are really good at making top laners look bad. I would say, as this is in this game around, it's Svenny who's just holding on for his life in comparison to last game, when instead it was Finn who was just falling so far behind. I think he got his Trinity Force like 2 or 3 minutes before the game was over, actually.
Something along those lines. In the mid lane, we see Eternity rocking the press the attack as the keystone for Corki, which is not a standard choice, not something that we are used to seeing. The fleet footwork is the more common choice to get that extra lane sustain, but I think the judgment here is up against the Syndra. He won't be taking too much punishment early on, so Press attack will be a stronger late game choice. Here we go mid lane though.
Mid lane, baiting it out, trying to force Krogston out of position. Krogston turning back though, not quite having enough to pull the trigger, does not have his ultimate available. Oh, that is huge! Ecstatic jumps in and he gets the kill. Again, Eternity flashes, and again, Eternity is the one to die. Finn has arrived together with Dominus, has so much damage and picks up Krogston, makes it look easy in front of both Ecstatic and Sveni.
And that is a big crocodile. That's not someone you want to be messing with. Krogston ends up going down to that, but you got to question the decision making there from Kronos and Eternity with Ecstatic waiting around the wings as this Kha'Zix with the ultimate evolved going to be doing so much. And this is exactly what we've been expecting in this bottom lane. Janna Ezreal, sure, it's a strong lane if you're able to scale up, but losing bottom lane tower by like 10-12 minutes, that's going to be the price you're paying from playing this scaling lane with Ezreal. And you gotta question Cookie. Went for the Ezreal in 5 games out of 5 with the likes of Tristan and Varus open in every single game up against his Caitlyn. So not working out too well for them. They are going to be losing that early bottom lane tower.
Yeah, it's a big problem actually PPK with their bottom lane that should be quite equal with Atlantis, but keeps picking the same losing matchups over and over again, allowing Raphael to go for the Caitlyn, allowing Lion again to go for the Braum, and just being happy with the Janna. That is not something you should be happy about. They really need to take a longer look at the bottom lane, although this is the last game. So in the future, of course, we're talking about. In the future, you're going to have to take a longer look at their own bottom lane and how they adapt throughout these longer series.
Medusa Kronos here on this Olaf will be a great utility when it comes to breaking those Caitlyn traps later on with the sieges if she's able to get those traps on towards the side, of course, and Olaf with the Ragnarok won't care about those traps, so that is something that they've got going for them, denying one of the big strengths of the Caitlyn, who's just recalled to pick up BF Sword and a pickaxe. Let's see what the response is going to be from Cookie. Buys his Manamune, completes that together with the call and looks towards the Ninja Tabai as well. So a clear item advantage for Raphael when it comes to the damage. Cookie's just looking to scale.
Cookie's really being one of those ADCs just hangs back, especially with Ezreal using Mystic Shot a lot of times just to farm. Not really poking anything either, just simply being that farming ADC. Kronos in mid lane, actually the underthrow deals quite a lot of damage at this point as he is now level 8. Keeps pressuring mid lane and top lane, leaving bottom lane to just farm, as that seems to be the way that Cookie and Kurt enjoys playing it. Finn though is going to start up the Rift Herald. He's almost standing on top of a ward. Doesn't really seem to care too much about it.
Not at all. That is going to be the objective. Since they saw Aesthetic towards the bottom side, they are going to be happy to trade Herald for Cloud Dragon. And I think that is a fine choice for PPK if they can use it to get some sort of a meaningful objective. With more people around the mid lane, they're going to be getting that. But losing bottom lane tower, that is going to be worse for them. So a 1-1 score when it comes to the towers right now, and just a small goal lead for PPK, even though they got the first Blood Tower Ops top lane so early on. Let's see if Herald's going to be used towards the middle, and if this is going to be a straight-up dive onto Krogston. Going to be forcing him away and getting some tower damage down.
Kronos forcing the flank will allow the rest of the ranged champions to get a little bit of damage off onto the turret. This is not the point where Aesthetic is at his strongest, although he has his 2 kills. It's a little bit more difficult for him to jump straight into the enemy team, especially into a Janna. You can easily deny him the jumps. Cookie again just farming in mid lane. He's going to poke a little bit back and forth. Again, like Cookie and Raphael, these are just the farming ADCs. Like these are the big farmers of the game. I don't think we've seen them like have like much of any aggression down bottom lane like earlier and around the 20 minutes.
Yeah, these are not the dual lanes that plays like Syra Khan into Callista Thresh or something. These are more of the, as you can see here, Braum Caitlyn versus Janna Ezreal. Just stay safe, try to farm up and be contributing towards your team. And if you're Raphael and Lion, you're perfectly fine with that, because when you're getting towers like this, you're getting so much map control and gold over your true team, so that is a good choice. Interested to see towards the items as well that the man right here, Krogson, has finished the Luden's Echo as the first item. Oh, there's a flash from Lion. Tries to interrupt the Rift Herald, but instead wastes the Summoner spell and the ulti. That was super close.
That was quite a big of a misstep. And now PPK are pushing in with the Rift Herald, using Monsoon to stay up the HP. Getting half of the tower's HP immediately. Rift Herald about to go down, so not going to be able to finish the tower off completely, but a lot of poke from the Corki and the Estriel combined.
This is something that we're seeing a lot when it comes to the Herald, not using it to even get a single tower as PPK right now, and can't question their...
Oh, this is dangerous. This is so dangerous. Eternity about to be caught out again. He goes down immediately. Again, Ecstatic, now unstoppable with the Ragnarok. Kronos has to run away from the fight as he was not tanky enough to survive, just barely avoiding the damage from Krogsing as well. Oh, fantastic play by Finn. Will be able to save his life just barely before Ecstatic was able to capture him out of position together with Svenny. But again, PPK being the aggressive ones, being punished only, though losing one in that fight.
Huge scat of the week from Krogson, really starting up that fight, and once the fight has been started, there is going to be an Aesthetic on your backline trying to eat away at those carries, and we see that actually everyone on PPK flashed away except for Eternity, who still had the flash available. So if he would have used that Summoner spell, perhaps he could have survived there for a while. Still goes down 0-3 on this Corker right now, being forced to go for the Hex Drinker as the first item before even thinking about the Triforce is going to be delaying that power spike quite far, and I still think it's an okay choice up against the Syndra. That ultimate is going to have so much pressure on towards someone with no magic resist, but still you have to realize how much this makes your damage worse when it comes to that mid-game spike with the Triforce and the Sork Shoes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, PPK are delaying the power spikes quite a lot, going with the Cull, going with the Monomune first, always opting for this kind of build path. It takes away the Trinity Force, and the Trinity Force doesn't really scale with anything that well, so it's not a kind of scaling item. You want to have it early to have the biggest impact. But again, PPK, they haven't proven to play around their power spikes quite well. More where Atlantis has been shown to play around their players. Playing around Ecstatic, playing around Svenny when he gets ahead. And Krogson also, we tend to forget that Krogson has really been showing up on his Rise earlier and still doing a very good job on his Syndra as well this game.
The Midland Siege right now with the Caitlyn and the Syndra. There's so much zoning going down. Caitlyn traps, Scat of the Week. A lot of long-range damage as well from these two champions. This is going to be the side lane engage from PPK, though Kronos is looking for the backline.
Oh, Kronos, we found the backline, but he was the only one who did. Ecstatic on a rampage, Monsoon not saving anyone. Ecstatic jumping in again, forcing the flash reaction from Curve. Actually not having a flash, just ran away from the fight. Valkyrie used as well for Eternity, so PPK from having the early game, just falling behind and now even having the ultimate of Cookie blocked by the Unbreakable. It's not a good position to be in. Ecstatic going for Eternity yet again. Eternity so low, red buff ticking. Will be able to survive it, but the turret does not look to have the same luck. Turret about to go down. Lion even tanking it up. That is the third turret for Atlantis.
I'm not sure what Kronos would have thought would happen right there. You have no magic resist. You run straight up to a Syndra, get ultied, get taken down almost immediately, and even went in after the tower had already gone down. So PPK is starting to fall apart slightly right now. With this Renekton, it's really not working out when it comes to that 1v1 with Svenny. Even though he is behind in farm and levels, he is contributing more in these team fights. So PPK, they need to think again. They need to realize what's going to be their win condition right now. And they do have a lot of good long-range damage from Eternity and Cookie, protected by an ardent support of KRP and a good scaling jungler in the Kronos' Olaf. But if that's going to happen, they're going to need to play safely, maybe give up an objective, maybe give up the next dragon, and then just try and get your core items completed, because fighting right now is going to be so good for Atlantis. Eye-Edge and Seal completed on the Caitlyn, Luden's Echo on the Syndra, and Ocean Dragon, that's an objective that you can't give up for sure.
Doesn't look like PPK wants to give this up though. Are sieging up around it, putting down wards. Meanwhile, Atlantis pushing in both bot lane and mid lane at the same time. Svenny just now recalling, so he will be able with the teleport to go in for the big fight. Kronos though has found Kroxen down bottom lane. Teleport coming in from Svenny. Going to avoid combination with Scatter the Weak.
Here comes Lion.
Running away, but Lion is here. He finds the CC chain on Eternity. Eternity, one more auto attack. Cleanse being used, but one auto attack will be enough to get him. And Raphael is the one who hits the auto attack. There comes the follow-up with the ultimate. Double kill now by Raphael, chasing away Kronos, using the ultimate even just to make sure that he does not get close to defend this turret. And again, Atlantis just completely demolishing PPK in every team fight.
Yeah, absolutely. PPK overcommitting towards the bottom side. Good decision at first, just try to force the TP by looking to catch out the sooner, but then you need to get out of there as soon as possible. Instead, Lion goes for the big engage, and KRP was too far behind on the support positioning right there. 4 turrets down compared to the 2 of PPK. They're going to be able to secure the Ocean Dragon should they want to. Still, gold lead not as huge as I would have thought. We're 20 minutes in and only 2.5k, and the lead is Atlantis. So this game is far from over, but they are looking strong for sure.
Absolutely, and PPK still has these Trinity Force spikes we were talking about, although the further you go into the game, the less they're gonna actually matter. But for now, I think PPK can just wait for Ezreal to spike, they can wait for Corki to kind of spike. My big problem is that they again opted to go for with a lot of pressure up top lane with Finn on his Renekton, and it worked out. They went with the tower dive, it worked out well, and then they kind of just left it. And Svenny has been able to hang on. He's only died once, he has 3 assists. He has had more impact on this game than Finn have had. So it's such a big problem for me to see that PPK kind of started working out their game plan and then sort of just forgot what it was.
Yeah, it's so hard to play a Renekton at this level. I mean, you can get an advantage in the laning phase with a strong early game and the strong sustain, but later on, as you said perfectly, Ornn has had more impact than the Renekton, even though it's 40 CS down and a kill down. And that's just because how the champions work. You have the long-range engage from the Ornn, you have so much zone control and CC. Well, Finn, yeah, he can put down pressure on towards the side and then do a lot of damage, but you really need to just flash on top of the enemy carries in a team fight, and that's not going to happen with the Braum and the Ornn there to peel for them. Baron Dance is initiated though. There is vision control for PPK, and this is something that they've been doing really well in previous games. They're actually going to start this as a ballsy decision.
It's a ballsy decision, but it could work out for them unless they're caught out, for example, by an Ornn ultimate, as Cookie is now tanking, using Arcane Shift to get over the wall and get out. Now, Atlantis not looking to fight this out, actually quite happy with forcing the recalls right now from PPK as they're pushing mid lane instead.
Yeah, look at mid lane right now. Atlantis are ahead. Kronos going to face check into Aesthetic.
Kronos versus Aesthetic, but it's not alone as Aesthetic has company. There comes Lion as well. One more auto attack will be enough to stop the unstoppable Kronos, but Kronos manages to run away. Took some damage from the Glacial Fissure. Those are 2 big abilities, though, used by Atlantis in that fight. So at least that is very important for PPK, as they could back off without losing anything more.
Neither team has prioritized the Ocean Dragon, which is kind of understandable. It's not the strongest of dragons. With these teams, though, it's going to be stronger than normally. You have a lot of mana-reliant champions on both sides, and you've got a lot of poke coming in from Caitlyn Syndra on one hand and Ezreal Corki on the other. So PPK getting this Ocean, it's going to mean more than an Ocean Dragon usually means. Unless they're looking bottom lane instead, they're going to try and catch out Svenny here.
Yes, Svenny is in a bad position now. Even though he is tanky, can he get out of this? Koldemeek
Look at Baron, though.
He's so low, but Baron has been started at the same time. And the question is, can PPK do something about it? They have the teleport available for Finn. Kronos is running as fast as he can. Baron is half HP right now. It goes down fairly quickly with his team comp, although Kronos has used a lot of mana before the fight has even started. Now ulting onto Kronos. Kronos about to go down. He's the first one to go. Finn coming in now, chasing down Raphael, has to flash over the wall. Kronos gets a lot of AoE damage off, but he is alone versus 4 right now, and he cannot chase this down. That is a free Baron, or rather, it's a Baron for the top laners. Then again being sacrificial lamb, allowing his team to pick up a Baron.
And what are you doing, PPK? Sending 5 people bottom lane at 22 minutes when the Baron is up against a team that's going to be really quick at taking that Baron down. That is not a decision that you're supposed to be making at this level. I mean, I sometimes get mad in solo queue when 2 people go bottom when Baron has spawned. PPK just went 5 people bottom. And that's in the finals of the Nordic Championship.
Well, it's been a long series. We're in game 5. There was bound to maybe some big mistakes to happen somewhere, but this one might cost them the championship. This is the final, and this might actually be the big mistake that just cost them game 5.
That is not the way that you're supposed to be thinking as a players, but these thoughts have to get you if you start to lose this game. How much money did that decision to go bottom lane cost? Did that cost us 50,000 kroner trying to chase down the Svenne? You're not supposed to think like that because you're going to get trapped in like negative loops, but I am sure you do if you're playing on PPK right now.
Well, it's a difficult position to be in, definitely. And also Static again showing up on his Kha'Zix. 4 kills, not the same Kha'Zix from game 3 that carried like kind of almost solo, but still is so strong. And he's going to stick around in these bushes. Kha'Zix is so annoying with having so much invisibility and so much burst that you can hardly even walk into your own jungle, even if you have regular wards.
Yeah, with the Moby Boot synergizes so well, I guess, well as a Duskblade that just goes so well with his kit. And speaking of that, will he do the jump here? He goes for some damage to Kronos.
And gets a little bit of burst off the Kronos, but Kronos gets a lot of burst onto him as well. Ooh. And the auto attack shutdown from Eternity finally punishes a Static for being way over aggressive. Although top turret still goes down, that is the Baron buff that the Static had, and he lost it. So that still means a lot for the team.
This is such a ballsy play from PPK because they have Finn in the bottom side without TP versus Svenne with TP available. So that was essentially a 4 versus 5 should Svenne choose to come in. But Aesthetic overcommitting without the help of his team, flashes away and still goes down. Eternity had used the flash to catch up there, but totally worth it for PPK. Getting the shutdown gold onto Eternity was very important.
Eternity getting that kill, even though Aesthetic flashed away. Some kind of like poetic justice going on there, as it has been Eternity who has been the one on the shorter end of the stick for most part of these games when it comes to the flashing and dying. Eternity on his Corki now finally starting to shape up a bit. Has his Trinity Force, and also Cookie with the Iceborne Gauntlet yet again, together with soon to have a Blade of the Ruined King. Although mid lane turret taking way too much damage. PPK to be happy about it. Raphael EPSing. There goes the turret together with the Ace and Hole onto Eternity. PPK trying to chase this down. And Kronos is there. Finn is coming in with the teleporter, who's not actually just running around them. Will he be able to find the flank? A fantastic stun from Croxton is going to stop Cookie in his tracks, not allowing Finn to go alone onto this team. So again, Atlantis gets an objective and gets out.
Yeah, this is a close one, but Atlantis seems to always just come out slightly ahead of PPK. I do like the decision for PPK to stay calm in that fight. Don't initiate anything too far. I think you're still looking at 2 major item completions. Blade of the Ruined King for Cookie and the Seal item if it's going to be the Rapid Fire Cannon or the Static Shiv for Eternity. Once those are completed, these 2 damage dealers are going to be really big, especially when you have the Ardent coming in from KRP as well. When he uses them on Soon with Ezreal and Corki inside the range of that ultimate, they're both going to be getting the benefits of the Ardent Sensor. And with the big auto attack builds, that's going to mean a lot of damage coming out. And Svenne not the most amount of armor right now.
Yeah, Svenne will have to watch out for that, as he has been behind the entire game on his Horn and still been able to make it work. And Cookie there, knowing where our Aesthetic was, manages to back off. I also want to mention that Svenne's first item this game was Righteous Glory. Meanwhile, Finn was kind of building for the 1 versus 1 and extended lane phase. Svenne was simply just avoiding him most of the time, went for Righteous Glory, and then they started team fights all over.
Yeah, the Glory really shows that you're not building for the 1v1. It doesn't give that many stats when it comes to that straight-up duel. Instead, when it comes to grouping up forces, forcing the engages, that Righteous Glory does so much more, especially once you have someone like Kha'Zix on your team. Being able to boost the movement speed of him makes him even more obnoxious.
Atlantis now still pushing in mid lane. Not been as good with the ward control this game as earlier games. Same can be said for PPK, but PPK are the ones that's falling behind, so it's no big surprise they're struggling a little bit with putting down wards.
This is fine for PPK though. They do not need to risk anything for a big engage. Just stay back, get the farm up. Oh, I'm contradicting myself here though, because here comes the Renekton TP.
Well, there was the engage onto the Snap Trap. Croxton at the same time found Cookie out of position. Cookie was the first one to die in the fight that PPK initiated. And now
Oh, he
it's
misses.
Misses the slice. And if you don't have a slice, you don't have a dice. And that is going to be the kill for Raphael. And this can quickly turn out to be a terrible team fight. Raphael flashing forward, finds Eternity. On to go to Snap Trap as well. Double kill for him. Aesthetic going in for the inhibitor now as well. There are 40 seconds left for Finn to respawn. 30 seconds Eternity and 13 for Cookie. Atlantis opting to go for the inhibitor, backing off as Baron is now spawning in 1 minute.
They could have tried to go for the end right there. I think it would have been overconfident, so I like the decision to back off, but that was a overconfident decision for PPK. I mentioned them not really looking to engage at this point. They really want the next item completions for Eternity and Cookie before starting up a fight. Still, they went for their Nectin TP. Somehow Cookie died before the fight had even started, so I'm not sure what happened there.
Well, I think Roxanne pressed R, basically. And that was what happened. It's so annoying facing a Syndra at this point of the game. Has quite a lot of magic penetration together with the extra grievous wounds you get from the Relonomicon, so not a good position for Cookie. And this is the first time, I believe, in this series even that Cookie has been caught completely out of position. Like, a lot of times we see him in team fights not quite contributing too much, but he's the kind of ADC also that just stays really, really far back. That seems to be why he enjoys playing Esther so much. KRP in big trouble. 1 versus 1 with the enemy jungler is not where you want to be, especially not when the enemy jungler is ecstatic. And now it's Eternity as well. Overcommitting, being completely caught out. Again, a static double kill. Gets Eternity, finally goes down. At the same time as Finn is in a 1 versus 3, jumping over the wall, barely surviving. Can they turn this around? Does not look like it. Cookie alive, but just barely. And Kronos was the one to go down last. That's Eternity, Kronos, and Finn, all of them dead, and now pushing in is Atlantis.
Are they gonna go for the end here? Cookie is 1 versus 3. Svenne, Raphael, Lion, they are playing, they're pushing for the Nordic Championship.
This is the final of the Nordic Championship, and these are the last seconds that might actually be the last ones in the entire league. Curve has been rooted, he has been shooted, he still survives. Cookie on the side, being there with the poke, forcing the enemy team of Atlantis to back off. Atlantis so scared to go all the way for the finish. I believe they could have gotten it, but they just don't want to take the risk.
I'm not sure if they could have actually. It would have been super close on towards the Nexus, and I'm not sure when you've got this big of an advantage if you want one of those like last-second Nexus fights. So they're going to be staying safe, but KRP doing the big mistake on towards the Baron play right there, getting caught out by Aesthetic in the jungle as the Janna, really getting shut down. And PPK might be looking to start the Baron. They know Raphael just recalled. This is going to be started out.
They're starting it. Raphael is not there.
Atlantis to come in. They want to force a 5 versus 4 fight here.
Lion going out to the front line. Again, here comes a huge initiate by Sven. Gonna follow up with Lion, popping the ultimate off Kronos, and he's gonna run away. Baron still open. It has been warded. Control wards are placed twice even for Atlantis. That is how much control they want to have around this Baron. No vision at all for PPK.
There's only one blue twin get in their inventories. KRP gets caught out.
Exhaust not doing anything against Aesthetic, and Lion is there with the Unbreakable Shield to help him get out. Finn 1 versus 1 turns into a 2 versus 2, 2 versus 1, 3 versus 1, as Finn again and again tries, but you are not on Camille and you are not fed. Here comes the follow-up again as Lion together with Raphael are chasing down 2 versus 3. Finally Lion goes as that was overcommitting, but the pick up of Raphael is huge with so much burst in this player's hands. These crits hurt so bad. Jumping now over the wall. Are they going for the Baron? Yes, they are. Aesthetic tanking it up. No problem at all as Kronos was forced to recall. This is the Baron for Atlantis.
It's going to be a free Baron going over for Atlantis. They've been doing a good job at forcing the fights. KRP getting caught out twice versus Aesthetic in the jungle. Not at all what you want to be seeing from him when it comes to this performance, but there is one position, I think, where the difference is really big. I think Cook is staying toe-to-toe with Raphael. I think that Kronos is staying toe-to-toe with Aesthetic almost. I think Finn is doing a good job compared to Sven, but look at the mid lane. Eternity with 2 damage items completed. Rapid Fire Cannon, Triforce versus a 4th item soon completed for Krogsson. He is doing so much more on this Syndra compared to the Corki. I think Eternity really needs so much more time to farm up, and sure, if he gets to 3 or 4 items, he's going to be a big damage threat on this Corki, but as it looks right now, he's going to be putting out so little damage compared to what you really want to.
Yeah, absolutely. There have been a lot of times where Eternity has been allowed to freely DPS and still has not quite been able to do anything with only these 2 items. Sure, when he starts to get more crit, when he has more attack speed, yes, then he will be able to be that mid lane carry. But right now, I mean, Krogsson is just there. He lands one ability, he uses his ultimate, and there goes Cookie. He can do the same with Eternity almost, even though Eternity has the extra magic resist. It is such a hard position for the carries of PPK to just find any point where they can go for an attack.
Cookie is starting to become big, though. This is a big point for the Zezreal. 4 completed items. He's been coming up really big in the fights in the previous games. In game number 1, he was the big carry for his team. Look at Cookie in this fight. He is the one that can secure this game for PPK.
Good engage onto Krogsson. Unstoppable, not enough as Kronos is bursting in seconds. Monsoon used to reset the fight the PPK started, that they are now running away from. A huge attempt that looks good for a second as Krogsson was caught, but then Eternity and Kronos were just completely demolished before they could do anything. This is the game. This is the final seconds. Next is about to go down as the first turret is already gone. Second turret is going together with all of the rest of PPK. That is the game. Next is gone. These are our winners with the reverse sweep. It is Atlantis.
Coming up huge with a reverse sweep down 2-0, and Aesthetic just said, let's grab a backpack, guys, jump in. Kha'Zix in Italy, Kha'Zix just popping off game after game. Look at these guys, they are so happy right now. Reverse sweeping in the grand finals of the Nordic Championships. What a story.
After it looked so grim in game 1 and 2, PPK looks completely unstoppable. All of a sudden, Team Atlantis simply just sort of cracked the code. They just realized exactly what they had to do to get the wins, and the reverse sweep was just magical.
Winning the bottom lane, winning the mid lane, winning the top lane, winning the jungle. I mean, they were just looking stronger in every position in those last couple of games.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about them having the stronger lanes in the early games, in game 1 and 2, and still losing out versus PPK in the team fights. But for game 3, 4, and 5, they had the stronger lanes, they had the stronger draft, and they had the stronger team fights. And all of a sudden, it looked at PPK were the underdogs to begin with, and the team that kind of didn't have any kind of counter plan to work against Team Atlantis.
What a final. It was a hard-fought but well-earned victory ultimately for Atlantis. They are still, of course, congratulating their opponents. We'll get them up here in just a moment. That last game started out a bit better for PPK, but every time they made a mistake, Atlantis were there for it. Guys, please come to the stage, get your trophies, get your medals. You are our Season 1, as it is for League of Legends, Nordic champions. Congratulations, guys. Please take your place in front of the stage.
Look at them. They're not only strong on the Rift, but they look really strong IRL as well. So
these
handsome,
guys work out.
So happy, for sure.
Like, you can't even see us behind them anymore. They're so bulky. Like, this is actually, I'm trying to find the camera now, but here are our winners, definitely.
So, once again, congratulations, Atlantis. The medals will be awarded as we go through it. We're going to just talk a little quick bit about that final game. And as you said, it was all on the back of a complete switch in the jungle play.
Yeah, going for the Olaf in game 1, game 2, not finding too much things to happen, even though he had a beneficial jungle matchup versus the Skarner. And then later in the game 3, just saying, we're going to go for the carry junglers with a tank top. That's such a strong combination, making the Kha'Zix work over and over. You can't call out PPK for perhaps overcommitting and not respecting the Kha'Zix enough, getting caught out on the Jan and getting caught out on the Corki, but still, you got to compliment Atlantis as deserving, well-deserving champions.
Indeed, they have their medals. Ladies and gentlemen, your Nordic Championship Spring 2018 champions, Team Atlantis, take your trophy. Thank you very much, guys. Please come around, join us. Yeah, no, join us around the back of the desk. Someone will hand you a microphone. We'll have a couple of quick questions from you guys. Come around either side, and we'll scooch up one way or the other. We'll move that way.
Do we fit, all of us?
I think we can just about fit. It's a big desk. We've got plenty of room. Who's got the microphone? Guys, please take it away and ask them your pressing questions, because that was a fantastic series.
So you were down 2-0 in the best out of 5. What was your feeling after game number 2? How were you? Did you think that a reverse sweep was possible?
I have played personally a lot of best of 5s, and I have been 2-0 up, so I know it's never over. Because when I've been 2-0 up, I got reverse swept, I think, twice. And I know if we win one game, their mentality they might get nervous and stuff. And yeah, it's not over until the Nexus falls 3 times.
Absolutely true. I want to ask Aesthetic as well, since you really changed it up after the 2 first games, went for the Olaf. Weren't able to make too many things happen in the first 2 games, even though you had kind of a good matchup into the Skarner, and then you went for the carry junglers. What was the thought process behind that?
To be honest, like I felt I couldn't do a lot with Olaf because this guy, he doesn't want to do anything. He just wants to sit back in his jungle and pretty much hope like there's no action on the game. And I was like, okay, with Olaf, I can't really get to you that easily. You can just walk away. But if I pick a carry jungler, I can just kill you over and over. And yeah, you can't just hide.
Kind of did that quite a lot with Kha'Zix, that's for sure. Jumped on in. Any other questions, are you guys?
Absolutely. When it comes to the top lane, there was a lot of focus from PPK onto the top lane. From your side, it felt like you were kind of playing around it. But what was the game plan when you saw Svenny struggling up top lane? Was that a decision that you made, or simply something that happened and you had to roll with it?
To be honest, the game plan was basically, we know that our bot lane is going to win 2v2 because we had Kate, and we know that they have carry top laner, like Finn is really good on carries, and we knew if they're going to play around me, we're just going to get all the turrets faster because I'm pretty, I guess, known for playing tanks and stuff and just not losing too hard, even though I was losing because of the jungle pressure and stuff. So basically, we said, as long as your turret doesn't die before bot turret, then you're fine. So, and we also wanted to play a lot on the Drake, so yeah, they basically sold me.
Yeah. Well, you absolutely made it work, and you made it look like that was the plan all along. Sacrifice the top lane, win game, lose lane. Well played, guys. I want to ask you one last question from my place, from my spot at least. How does it feel to be the Nordic champions?
What?
Dance guy.
How do you feel about winning as
It feels pretty.
As a Danish guy?
It feels pretty good. I finally won a league. I've lost UK, I've lost Spain. Like finally, I won one.
He's come to the Nordics and he's got one locked in the bag.
Split I played.
Well done. Congratulations once again, guys. You got any final words you want to say to the fans or the people at home?
Thank you everyone for watching. We're gonna win in the European Cup.
Fighting Cork, and well, after the games we saw today, it's perhaps not the toughest act to follow. Once again, guys, congratulations. Guys, thank you for watching, and of course, thank you everyone here at DreamHack for putting on this event. It's been a fantastic season. Thank you, Henning and Sang, for casting all the way throughout and being here today. Without further ado, we can wrap things up and look forward to another season.